Hi everybody, welcome back. Thank you for joining me, especially to my new followers. Today I'm going to be working on this 16 by 12 canvas board. It had a previous painting, but I've actually gone over the top. I'm going to use this catalyst tool, which is a silicone tool, with some lovely Pebeo iridescent acrylic paints. I've mixed up a few of them to make a particular shade that I wanted. And in this other palette I've just got some Payne's grey, turquoise, sort of buff titanium and some titanium white. I put it on a large palette because I want to use this household squeegee and painting tool. It's just a sponge on a roller, just for a little bit of effect today. I'm also going to use my trusty palette knives, and first thing I'm going to do is just spread a little bit of titanium white and Payne's grey very roughly across the surface. Because it's had a previous painting on, there is a little bit of texture, which you could do yourself if you just put a few layers of very rough paint on. And I'm just going to mix this together with this sponge. I've never tried this before. This is a bit of an experiment. I'm just going to dot that about. And the beauty with these catalyst sort of spatulas and tools is you can spread the paint quite thinly. You can pull it out, make different effects with it. You can put the paint on, you can put it on quite thickly and pull it around. You've got a nice mix of those colours there. As you can see, I've just gone onto the palette, pulled up a big sort of handful and just spread it on. And then we'll just add in a little bit of titanium white. I haven't got a very sort of specific idea of what I'm doing here. I'm literally having some fun. I think we all need to have some fun from time to time. I've been doing some very structured pictures, samples for workshops, and I want to play. Let's have a go. Whoa! Now, the thing I'm learning here is if you press too hard, it pulls the paint away. So very gently, just leveling the blade onto there. That's really nice, and I can add some details. It's actually making lines in the paint, and I can actually apply the paint in those nice lines. Give that a bit of a pull down. These are some of my favourite colours. Turquoise is always a winner. Now usually I couple it with burnt sienna, but today I've resisted. I'm just going to stick with a very simple palette. This is working really quite nicely. And I like the fact that this sponge roller blends the paint but gives it some texture as well. And we're making sort of glazes of colour, which I'm really enjoying. And these tools don't have to cost a lot. The catalyst tools are available in most art shops, but the squeegee, certainly in the UK, would be available from sort of household shops very cheaply. I think this was only about £1. The catalyst converters can be a little bit more expensive, sort of up to about £8, but they last forever. So it's just a question of playing about, see what you can do. So I'm adding some mixes of colour, and I'm still using the brush. I'm still putting it on with the bristle brush because that just spreads it really nicely. I've got a sort of seascape cliff idea going on, but I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. So you're on a journey with me today. We've got some lovely shades of these greens and blues. They are slightly iridescent. Oh, that's great. Look, scraping some texture into that. That's fab. We can certainly have a good play about with this technique, I think. And you can turn it over and scrape off the excess paint. Easy. Again, just pulling it whichever way I feel. As you can see, it's great for pulling that paint down. I haven't put too much paint on it. I don't want thick layers. I want thin layers of glaze. And that's what we're getting here. And because it's got a soft sort of blade to it, we can move it about, squash it down and get some lines going. I'm just going to put a bit more of the Payne's grey there because that's sort of giving me a cliff top, dare I say. I was thinking the other day, a lot of people don't like abstract paintings, and I understand that. Not all paintings are for everybody. And I was thinking why it is that I enjoy doing them. And I think for me, they capture a mood of something rather than an actual image. If you're in a certain sort of phase of mind or feeling, sometimes it's easier to express those feelings by texture, by movements, by mixes of colour, rather than sitting to paint an actual creature or scene. It sort of limits that expression of your emotions. So that for me is what I get from abstract painting, a sense of creating an atmosphere and an expression. So adding a little bit more titanium white, I'm going to use this blade again, and I'm just going to pull some of that beautiful blue grey across. It just smooths out really nicely. The colours that I've chosen, although they're quite sort of in the cool temperature range, because we've got a brighter green in there, it does lift that little bit, and the buff titanium is a nice warm sort of base colour, so it goes in very nicely. I'll just scrape that in a little bit. I'm starting to get some idea of shapes forming now. It's very difficult when you're working like this, and you probably find this yourselves. You have to step away, you have to stand back, you have to have a little bit of a break, go away from it, come back and have a look. Adding layers like this, it just keeps on building, so sometimes you've just got to stop and say, right, how is it going? Let's add a bit of dark in there. Let's blend that in nicely with that knife. That's going to look good. Remember, foreground colours tend to be darker, so you can still apply that technique to abstract paintings. Even though we're not painting an actual scene, we can still imply that a layer or a level is nearer to us. All these different planes suggest depth. Although we've put the dark grey on the sort of background cliff tops, if you like, it's nice to add that dark colour. Going in with a little bit of white over this area here, just to blend all these beautiful colours with this sponge roller. And it's really nice. It stops you over blending, because it's very difficult to overdo it, I think. So I'll pop a little bit more in there, blend that a little bit. I'm thinking that you could probably get smaller rollers as well if you wanted, or larger for larger canvases. There we go. It's finding out where it actually is on the roller that's a little bit taking a bit to get used to, but it's okay. I'm liking this a lot. This is a very straightforward way of creating. And you see with that blade, I can make lovely lines. Let's join that up right to that right hand side there. Gives us another plane to play about with. Let's pull that little bit of grey down and soften that a bit. And here I am so far. It's dried overnight. I've walked away. Can you see the iridescence? It's really pretty. So now what I want to do, I want to blend out this sky a bit. It's a bit heavy where we went in to start with, because we didn't have any idea what it was we were doing. Now I just want to soften it down with some white, a little bit more Payne's grey, just to take those lines out, those streaks that we've got. And now back with the palette knife. I'm just going to add a few more areas of darker colour. I've noticed we've got a lot of light and mid colours, but I want to add a little bit more. You see how you can scrape into the paint with your palette knife? Makes amazing textures. You can be quite rough as well. If you're working on a canvas board, even a canvas itself, it will take quite a little bit of sort of punishment from a knife if you want to. So it's just starting to blend in the different areas now, adding little bits of colour here and there, merging them, using that to, I think it's actually a tool to wipe windows or wipe your shower down, but it works just as well. And we use the catalyst tool to add some of that darker blue-green mix, and this is iridescent, so it's going to stand out lovely when it's all dry. Let's have a little bit more white. We've lost some of the white area there, so I'll add a little bit more. And you can see how precise you can be with the catalyst tool. There are different types of tool. My favourite one actually is a smaller blade with a handle, but I thought it was time I used some of these for a little bit more effect. Oh, let's mix some of that beautiful turquoisey green. It's a real sea colour. And I've added a little, tiny little bit of Prussian blue. I just wanted a little bit more depth and a little bit more blue colour in that foreground. And I'm just going over some of that dried texture with the catalyst and just some titanium white, catching some of those raised areas and just blending that little bit of Prussian blue. It's not going to stay as bold as it is now. I'm going to blend it. Add a little bit more green as well. Oh, that's looking very nice. Okay, so I add a little bit more white here. Again, it's all about blending, putting in the colours that you want. A little bit more of that buff titanium. I will list all the colours for you in the description and all the tools that I've used. But of course you can use whatever colours you like. There's a little bit more green in the foreground. Softening that out nicely. Now I'm going to use the brush because I want to just soften that area. It's gone a little bit chunky. And that's okay, it's still quite wet, the paint, so I can use the brush, the flat brush, just to pull the colour out. And I'm going to add a little bit more dark there as well, just to take our eye just to that sort of mid area in the left hand side and pull it across. And we'll add a little bit of whiter colour over on these cliffs, for want of a better word. A lot of the thing about abstract painting is working with how it feels to you and deciding what you want where. Play about with it. If you don't like it, you can remove it or go over it. Let's have a little bit of white there. I'm just going to dot it on almost, using the palette knife just to tickle it onto there. And the same with a little bit more of the Payne's grey there. And you can see I'm applying it and I'm just going to scrape into it, get that texture going. That movement, those lines. It may suggest something to you when you look at it. It may just be rocks, shelves. I want to add a little bit more dark blue down to this bottom right where the white is, just to give that suggestion of depth, to balance the top left hand side, which is quite dark. It hopefully then will lead your eye across. And dabbing the white paint on with this sponge roller is brilliant because it looks really foamy. If you want a sea sort of spray, there we go. A sea spray effect, this is great. This is looking really, really frothy, and you could build up quite a lot of layers that way. Just going to add a little bit of that mid-greeny blue under there, just to connect that. And here we go. I hope you will have enjoyed that, and that will inspire you to have a go at more abstract work. Do keep painting. Contact me if there's anything I can do, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Many thanks. Bye bye.